So here we have a very highly anticipated video to check out. This is called "A Pro Player Explains the Rules of Baseball." So throughout the and shout out to Injury, by the way, in the comment sections on Twitch. So this was a request that was meant to have been taken care of months ago. Like, I mean months ago, I mean like months ago. Back when we were watching season 1, I think it first started, the request for this video to be watched. I think this started back when we it was season 1. It was Sato versus the Akikawa game. I want to say it was around that area, and I was like, nah, man, I think because I kind of wanted to just like learn from like the anime first, and now that I have a good bit, I want to see if my knowledge will be up to par with what's going to be said in this video. I don't remember exactly when. I think it was during the Akikawa game. At least I want to say so, because I remember whenever back when I used to film, but like how I used to, before I didn't like do the streams for Ace of Diamond, when I used to just do the pre-recordings. Like I would record and then I would just like edit the videos, post edit, and then release it. I would look at a lot of comments from the last video, and I would see like all the requests you guys would have had. So I'm pretty sure it was during the Hakikawa game, or at least that's what I think. But yeah, we're gonna see it, my knowledge being put to the test. Without further ado, let's get into this video. If you guys have more requests, please put them down in the comment sections down below. Till then, let's get this video.
I'm going to teach you all the rules of baseball. So I'm Dan Blewett. I'm a former pro baseball player. And I know that baseball can be complex if you're a beginner and you're just starting to try to learn the rules and the strategy and to understand the game and to watch it better. So if you want to learn more about baseball, this video is going to be for you. So as a former pro pitcher and someone who's been playing baseball my whole life, you take for granted how complex the game is. So I realize that it can be daunting for beginners to get started and just understand and enjoy the game as they watch it on TV, or if you're just starting to play yourself. But in today's video, I'm going to walk you through all the rules of baseball, at least the most pertinent ones, so you can get an understanding of the complexity and the really interesting nature of baseball. Because yes, it is a bit complicated, but it's also really, really deep, and that's one of the things that I love about it. And if you're new, definitely check out the links in the description below. You'll find my other video resources. You'll also find a free cheat sheet for watching better baseball. So it's got all the terminology listed. So if you're watching a game and you want a quick reference guide, you can easily download that in the description below. All right, so let's start with the field itself. So first, the baseball field is broken up into an infield and an outfield. There's 3 outfielders in the outfield, and there are 6 players on the infield. That includes the pitcher, the catcher, first base, second baseman, shortstop, and third baseman.
Got you. Okay. So from my knowledge of the outfielder, from the outfield position, I remember all the times when Sartre would switch out to be an outfielder. For how it was treated, it sounded as though for some reason it was like only 1 outfielder out there. But no, there's actually 3 out there regularly. Got you. Okay. So that's cleared up.
Also notice that there are 4 bases: first base, second base, third.
16-hour stream is nasty work. Hey, a 16-hour stream is just me, going all out for y'all, because I know we won't be live on Sunday. So I wanted to go all out. 8-hour stream went. I don't know why I went to almost say I've done one before. Dang, I think I probably did. I've gone up to 6 hours before, maybe even 7. I have to look back at my drawing stream. Yeah, I'd look back at the drawing streams. The drawing streams would be, If we're talking about total, though, I've gone to 9-10 hours total of streaming, honestly. But yeah, so far so good. Second base. All right, so I know about the bases. I know about home. I know about first, second, third, home. They're 9 feet apart. Home plate is 60 inches, and then 60 inches by 6 centimeters from the pitching rubber.
Third base. And home is what we call home plate. So it's the 4th base, but really you just call it home. We call it the plate or home. You don't really call it home plate, and you definitely don't call it home base. So first, second, third, and home. All right, so the next important feature of a baseball field are the foul lines. So you'll see these 2 white chalk lines. They extend from the back corner of home plate all the way out, and they create this fair territory. So we call it fair territory. And of course, if the ball hits the foul line, it is fair. So if it touches any part of the line, it's fair. And if it hits the yellow foul pole at the home run fence, that is a fair ball. That's a home run. Anything hit in fair territory, the batter can run to first base, then to second base, then third base, then home. It's in play, right?
So he said for the pole, but even the line too. Interesting. Okay. And then also, I remember I know about the foul territories a little bit when we've seen the different times where some of the pitchers when they're throwing balls and then and then the batter's throwing like fouls, and the different type of hits and pitches are being stacked up of what's a ball and what's like fouls, and they're like being stacked up, and then like the count would be like 2-2 or 3-2, like something like that, right? So I know about the fouls. Okay.
Anything in foul territory, if it's still in play, can be caught in the air, so it could be an out. But if it's hit on the ground in foul territory, the ball is dead. And then, of course, there's out of play, which is also a foul territory, but that's not where the fielders can go. So if the ball is thrown into out of play, or if it's hit out of play, the play is going to be dead. All right, there's one more quirk in the rules to discuss, and that's when a ball is initially in fair territory and then rolls into foul territory. So in the infield, the ball can initially be fair and it can just roll off and go foul.
Yeah.
Balls have spin, especially down the line, so this is pretty common. And the rule is that the ball has to reach third base or reach first base, depending on which line it's on. It has to go past third or first before curving foul to be considered still a fair ball. So if you hit a
So it needs to hit first and third base first. But how would it like hit to those bases specifically? It must touch the ground past the base in fair territory before rolling into foul territory to be fair. Oh, so it needs to touch anything within fair territory before it's like, okay, yeah. So that's almost like in basketball where like a ball is out of bounds. It's like, but instead, as long as the ball hit the ground and bounds, you can actually go out of bounds to grab it and still like treat it like a live ball. Okay. So a lot of times the Ace of Diamond, I remember in like especially Team Sato with the fielders, even though the ball would go into the foul territory, it would hit the ground before it goes over that line. So before it goes over the line, it hits the ground. They can still grab the ball. And it's still live, and they can still, because I've seen that happen a few times before. But the other times when it goes into the foul territory, they have to let the runner basically go, right? I think so. Okay. I discovered a very important piece of Mike Media from 6 years ago on your channel. I went and left my mark because I felt sad seeing what was there. There was nothing in empty video. Wait, what? What do you mean? Is it? Are you talking like a? It was like a scheduled stream that never really got played or got like activated.
Ground ball that's bouncing in fair territory and it goes past third base and then curves foul, that's still a fair ball. If you hit a ground ball down the third base line and it curves foul before it hits third base, then that will be a foul ball. So as long as it's inside fair territory past third base, then it will be fair for the rest of the play until the play is dead later. It's also important to note that home plate and all three bases in the field, they are entirely in fair territory. So if you see a ball hit down the line, it hits third base, that ball is fair. If a ball were to stop on home plate after being hit, which is pretty unlikely, but it does very once in a while happen, that ball is fair. Home plate is entirely in fair territory. Okay, so who plays on a baseball field? Let's talk about the teams and innings. So there are two teams. You probably know this. There's a home team and a visiting team, which we also call the away team. The away team hits in the top half of each inning, and the home team hits in the bottom half of each inning. There are 9 innings in a game, and each of those 9 innings are divided into 2 half innings. So a top half of the first and a bottom half of the first, a top half of the sixth and a bottom half of the sixth, and so on. Each half inning contains 3 outs. When the team up to bat records 3 outs, then the two teams switch. So the team that was in the field comes in to hit. The team that was hitting goes out to field. So every half inning, teams switch. So each team will play the field, and they will bat for 3 outs every single inning. Okay, what's the objective of a baseball game? How do you win? The objective is to get more runs than the other team over the course of the 9-inning game. So how do you?
Yeah, that part I remember. Like you have to score more to actually, because that's how you score. That's how you score points. And then a lot of times, what happens is, especially if a team is successful with like scoring a lot of runs in the first inning or in the first few innings, they try to basically play defense with their lives. Like let's say if it's 4-0, like they try their best to get it everything they have to defend with their lives to make sure batter on the opposing team can even get to first base. Because that's actually what we saw a lot in the recent game between Seiko and Sato. Like I remember what's called Sato, they had like a 4-0 run or a 3-0 run, and then literally we were like with Satoru, he was trying his best to make sure like we had clamps on them. And for a while it was like a stalemate between both teams because both teams defenses were good. But later on in the game, Seigo started to gain momentum, which tipped the scales for them to start like, you know, capitalizing on times when Team Sato was starting to make a mistake. And that was due to like, I think that was like due to Satoru, right? Him starting to mess up. Or no, there were times where Kanemaru, that situation was when Eju came in, when he stepped in. But yeah, they started to capitalize basically, but scoring got you.
You get a run. You get a run by advancing to first base, then to second base, then to third base, then home. You can hit a home run and do it all yourself, or you could hit 4 singles and, you know, one batter gets on, then 3 more bat him in. Now, pro teams play 9 innings. College teams here in the U.S. also play 9 innings. Amateurs, like high school and below, they all play 7-inning games. And it's important to note that there's also extra innings. So if teams are tied after regulation, so after 9 innings or 7 innings for amateurs, then they'll play an additional inning.
And that's what we saw with the Seiko and Sato game. They were tied and they're playing extra innings. There's no actual time limit. Because in the back of my mind, I think I was starting to like think about that in the back of my mind, in like my head, like going into the previews for that episode that we're going into now. Yeah.
Teams are still tied, then they'll play another, and they'll keep playing another until one team pulls ahead after a complete inning, and then the game will be over. Okay, so how does the fielding team record the 3 outs to end the hitting team's time at bat?
Back when you didn't hate oh my, y'all, I don't hate Kawakami, man. He's a Sato, like here's the thing, right? He is a Sato player. I would not talk about this much if I didn't care about Kawakami. Think about it. Think about it. Just think about it real quick. If you dog on someone for a while, it's not because you dislike them. It's that you care about that person so much. You want them to become better. So when they don't become better, you're like, dog, what are you doing? You know? That's just, I'm just trying to uplift Kawakami by, you know, with tough love. You know, tough love never hurt nobody. Right?
Let's talk about the bunch of different ways that they will do that. We'll cover batted balls first, so flyouts, ground outs, force outs, tag outs, and then we'll cover the pitcher-hitter dynamic in more detail, which is one of the most important things to understand and one of the most interesting things to really dive into in the rules and strategy of baseball. All right, let's talk about being out versus being safe, reaching base safely versus getting out. First, when the batter comes up to hit and does not reach base safely, that means he is out. If he reaches
hitting the ball hard gives a better chance at reaching
base safely, then we call him safe. So he's safe at first or safe at second or safe at third if the batter hit a triple, which we'll cover in a second. Now, hitters can get out in a couple of different ways. One, the hitter can strike out, which means he did not hit the ball into fair territory during his time at bat. That means the pitcher got 3 strikes on him before he could hit the ball into fair territory. Hitters can also ground out, which means they hit the ball bouncing on the ground and the fielding team throws it to first before the batter can reach there. That's one of a couple different ways the fielding team can get what's called a force out. The ball beats the runner to the base, thus forcing him out. A hitter can also fly out, which
I think that happened before during the Akikawa game, right? Against Shunshin. I think Shunshin did that on Kuramachi before. Like he was running and he was right next to him. He was really running right next to him, and he passed it to someone that was over at first.
Means if you hit the ball in the air and the fielding team catches it before it hits the ground, or if it hits the base, or if it hits the outfield wall, those are all extensions of the ground, then the hitter is out. Note that only fair ground balls can become outs, but foul balls hit in the air, if they're still in catchable territory, so they're not out of play, they can be caught and become an out. So a fly ball, whether it's in fair or foul territory, if it's still in play and the fielder catches it, the batter's going to be out. Next, base runners who are on base can obviously get out as well, so not just the hitter. Base runners who are already on base can be tagged out by a player with the ball. He needs to be tagged with the ball itself or the ball in the fielder's glove. They can also be forced out. So if there's a runner on first and he's running to second because the batter hit a ground ball,
Yeah.
If the shortstop, for example, were to throw the ball to second base before the runner gets to second, he would be forced out at second. So
Ah, I see. I see. So if he decides once the person at base actually runs, if he hits, so just like we said, let's say a runner runs to first and the runner at first is trying to see is going to hit the ball. If he thinks that the team, like his team is actually going to hit is going to hit the ball, not only just to hit the ball but to hit it in a good spot that would give him enough time to run from first to second, he's going to take that run, right? So when he goes from when he decides to go for it, he goes from first to second. If the catcher at second has the ball, or it could be anyone, right? If the catcher, if the a fielder at second has the ball, if he throws it to first before the runner gets the second, okay. So it's really a matter of speed. It's like if I do this before you, so if I do this before you, it's either safe or you're out. Basically. Okay.
well, there's a bunch of different ways. They can also be doubled off. So double play means 2 force outs on the same play, or a fly ball is caught and the runner is off the base and they throw the ball back to the runner's original base before he retreats back there.
Yeah.
That's another rule. It's called the tag up rule. So when the ball's
So I wonder which type of outs I've seen the most. I think a lot of times with Ace of Diamond, they've shown mostly just the type of outs where it's towards the bases that the runner is running towards versus where they were. I've seen more of it the first way than the second way. Hasn't that been the way the majority of the time? That's how I've always seen it. Like they kind of always focus, and I guess it makes sense, especially for high school, because I guess the rules with baseball it is not as like much of a complex thing. I think maybe Miyuki, because I remember there was one play that happened within season 2 still, and Ejun was pitching, and but Ejun was sitting there like, what happened? What? And Miyuki brought him to the side. He's like, well, come here for a second. I'll explain. And there were a lot of like pro moves that are being done that a bulk maybe that they're not used to like seeing. So I'm wondering if we're gonna see some more of those type of plays. I'm sure we would.
hit in the air, runners can't just continue to run as far as they want. They have to go back to the base and retouch it. So if I was on first base and there's a fly ball hit, I have to go back to first, wait till they catch the ball. Once they catch it, now I'm free to leave, and that's called tagging up. So you'll see this especially with deep fly balls, where a runner will wait till the outfielder catches it. He'll tag up and then run to the next base as the outfielder throws and tries to get him out at the next base. So when balls are hit in the infield,
So that's a rule, so they have to wait. Oh yeah, that's true, because it's like that's crazy if the runner can just go ahead and run. That's like that would have been like in Usher versus Sato if Carlos was able to just run wherever he wants without any of the fielders actually catching the ball first, or especially like an outfielder if it's going all the way out. And with that, is that like a violation too? Like because I know he's saying, oh, you have to like wait for the outfielder to catch it or for the ball to be caught first to go. Would that be like a violation if they don't wait and they decide to just run? Gotta be, because that wouldn't be fair. That means like literally
hit very hard, which we call line drives. Lots of times they're hit so hard and they're caught so quickly that runners don't have time to get back to their original base. So those line drives will often result in a quick double play because the fielding team catches the line drive so fast.
All right, let's see. How does it start first? All right, so the runner's here. The runner was off the base when the ball was caught. Okay, so the runner was off the base when the ball was caught. The runner's trying to get back. The fielder catches it. The batter's out. If the fielder throws it to the first... Wait, is that cover? Yeah, okay. Right here, it's kind of covering it a little bit. Okay, I saw it read here. If the fielder throws it to first before the runner gets back, the runner is also out. If the fielder catches it... Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's another out. Like, that's another out I remember. So if the catcher catches the ball, and that's like before it touches the ground, like he catches it like straight up, you're out. True. Yep.
And then they throw it behind the runner back to their base that they can't yet get back to, and they'll get that quick double play. Now, when a hitter goes up to hit, he can also reach base safely a number of ways. Number one is by getting a base hit. That's when you hit the ball into fair territory and you reach first base before they can force you out at first. Hits include singles, doubles, triples, and home runs. Those are the 4 different types of base hits. and they just correspond to how many bases you
Singles,
get
doubles,
when you hit the ball.
triples.
So if you hit the ball and you get safely just to first and you're stopping at first base, that's a
That's a
single.
single.
If you hit it and you get to second, that's a double.
That's a double.
Get to third, that's a triple.
It's a
Or if you get all the
triple.
way back to home, that's a home run.
Home run.
So singles are typically hit just through the infield, or they're blooped over the infield, or they're hit.
And I always say, oh, it's a home run if they hit it where it's like where it goes over the fair territory, where it just goes where like you can't go past it. It's like you can run that whole circuit. Yeah. That's what I always call home run. All right.
Line drive through the infield, but they usually don't go past the outfielders. That's
But
why
if
they
they
can
drop
only
the
get
ball.
one base.
Mm.
Doubles and triples are typically hit all the way to the outfield wall, which gives the runner extra time to run to a second base.
Yeah.
And on triples, especially, they're usually only hit to right field, because when they're hit into the right field corner or into the right field gap, and by gap I mean the gap between the outfielders, it becomes a very long throw to third.
Wait, where's it thrown to again?
By gap I mean the gap between the outfielders, into the right field corner or into the right field gap, and by gap I mean the gap between the outfielders.
Yeah.
It becomes a very long throw to third base from the right field corner, because
It's not true said a long throw for who?
that throw is so long, it gives the runner extra
Third,
time, the batter runner, extra time to potentially go all the way to third base. So triples are much more rare than doubles, and when they do happen, they're almost always to right field. And lastly,
Yeah.
there are home runs, which is when you hit it over the outfield fence in the air,
Mhm.
or you can hit it inside the park home run, which is when the ball stays in play, doesn't go over the fence, but maybe it takes a weird bounce, or an outfielder trips and falls, and it just gives the runner, or the batter runner, extra time to get all the way around. They're very, very rare in pro baseball. They're more common in amateur baseball, especially when there isn't an outfield fence. If you hit the ball really hard over the outfielder's head and there's no fence, it might give the batter a chance to get all the way around.
Either way, it's just in other words for like it's basically impossible for the fielders to actually get the ball, where it's like it's too much out of their way. It's like even if they managed to get it, it would have been too late.
And touch them all. So those are the 4 types of base hits. There are also walks. There are also hit by pitches. You can reach base on an error. There's
What's called ways to reach base, base hit, single, double, triple. So we know that. So now we know the specific terminology for that. And then walks. Yep. If the pitcher is throwing if they throw 4 balls. Yep. So we know about that. We know about walks. We know about walks for a good while. Reach on error. Fielding team misplays ball. I think I have to like still kind of like really read a little bit more into that. Hit by pitch. Yep. What exactly what happened to Edgin, which gave him the yips. Fielder's choice when fielding team chooses to get the base runner out instead of the batter. Yep. Yeah. To reach base. Yep.
Catcher's interference. There's a bunch of
They
other ways
prioritize
to reach base safely.
So the last one, they prioritize your teammate versus you, because they think, oh, you're gonna get to first, we're gonna stop this person getting to second or getting to third, so we'll have enough time to handle you.
But hits, walks, hit by pitches, and errors, and fielders' choices, which we'll cover in a second, are by far the most common ways to reach first base. Now, I want to explain the fielder's choice, because this
Guido's right center field. I know shortstop is Kuramachi. Right center field in the right center field. Wait, because I know Harchi's not Harchi, right? Because we're talking about for like the fielders, right? For defense, is it Harchi? Because the main people that I don't know. Dang, never mind. Right in center fielders. Dang, it's. I'll admit, I'm gonna be very honest with y'all. The fielders that I know about, the main fielders from Sato's that I know about that are in specific positions is Harchi and Kuramachi. I know Kuramachi's shortstop a lot of times, but shortstop now is really mainly Kanemaru. Like right now, I know it's Kanemaru, but oh wait, yeah, that means that oh shoot, yeah, Kuramachi switched sides. Okay, yeah, I gotta pay attention to that. He's third. Kuramachi's okay. Oh no, Kanemaru's third. Yeah, when it's a left, center, and right field, that's outfield. When it's first base, second base, or third, it's infield. Got you. So we're saying, okay, first base, second, third, infield. Outfield is when you just say, okay.
This is one of the most common ways players reach base, and it's really important to understand how this ties into the strategy of baseball and the rules. So on a fielder's choice, this is when the fielding team decides to
when a fielder fields the ball cleanly but decides to get a base runner out instead of the batter.
get a base runner out even when they had the option to get the batter out. So say I'm hitting and there's a runner on first base and there's one out. If I
Yeah.
hit a ground ball to the third baseman has, and he fields it properly, the third baseman has the option to throw to second to get a force out to get that runner out,
Right.
or to throw to first base to get me, the hitter, out. But it makes sense for the fielding team to get the lead runner out. That means the runner that's farther along than any.
Yeah, because he's farther along. You want to take out the person that's at the farthest. And I wonder if there would be a way to do a double play. A double play wouldn't be possible, right? Because let's see. So let's say if the batter hits to third. Oh well, to third base, and the person at third base, he's going to obviously throw it to second to get the person at first base going into second, force him out. But what if this person? Nah, no way. This person, if the person at bat is taking that long to get there, while the person at first is trying to get to second, yeah, they're just slow. They're slow. They're mad slow. Scherzer is right field. Gotcha, he's right field. Oh, from the outfield position, so he's right field. Okay.
The runner. So the runner on first base is the lead runner, and he's going to second base. So the third baseman, if they only have one option, it makes sense for them to get the runner out at second base rather than me, the hitter, at first base.
Yeah.
So they'll throw to second base and get the force out there, and then I reached first base safely. So I didn't get a base hit because they fielded it, right? So it didn't go cleanly through the infield or over the infield.
Yeah, because they're looking at their chances of getting out. Because for people that are the fielders that are they're like within the defense side of the field, their main goal is getting outs, and their main goal is preserving their chances of getting outs, right? So a lot of times when Miyuki is seeing yeah, so let me think. Because there were a lot of times during the last time we watched Ace of Diamond, Miyuki saw there were a lot of times where Ejin was super focused on the batter, where Miyuki was like, okay, I don't want Ejin to worry about people that are at first going to second, or people that are second going to third, which is like that the only way to get outs to get outs for people that are on those bases will be double plays, right? You're constantly striking out the person at bat, so you don't allow any more people to come in. And then for people that are trying to run to third or second, a lot of times out of 10 you could just do a double play as long as you field correctly, right? Because I would see that happen a lot of times. Like if you field correctly, you can actually at least get the person going to third out. But a lot of times I tend it can be like a double play. They can get both players out.
Deserve a hit in my statistics, but what they call that is a fielder's choice. The fielder had the choice to get multiple runners out, and they chose one that wasn't the hitter, so the hitter reached first base. These happen all the time when base runners are on base and ground balls are hit. So it's important to understand this part of the baseball rule book. Okay, let's discuss the rules and the general gameplay and some key concepts for hitting and pitching in baseball. This is where the action starts and stops. So if you have a good level of comprehension here, you're off to a really good start learning the rules of baseball. Okay. At the most basic level, and you probably already know this, the pitcher throws the ball toward the catcher, and the hitter swings his bat and tries to hit it. And you probably know that hitting a round ball with a round bat is really tough. Some say it's the hardest thing to do in all of sports, and I tend to agree with them. Now, the first concept to understand is the strike zone. The pitcher has to throw the ball into the strike zone to get strikes on the hitter, which you'll see here. And the concept of balls and strikes is what incentivizes the hitter to swing at pitches and the pitcher to throw the ball into a swingable area for the hitter. This sort of just like keeps the game moving along. Yeah. Now, when
like you have to throw it in the swingable area, but even if you throw it at a swingable area, it could be either in the striking zone or it could be within what would be outside the striking zone. But as long as it looks like it's there, because a lot of times we've seen in like Ace of Diamond, we see a lot of like for example Edge's natural moving fastball. It looks like it's going to you, but then it doesn't. exactly, or his cutters, it looks like it's going to, but it takes a sharp like detour. The distance between home and first place is 90 feet, and the balls hit over 80 PMH exit velocity. So it's not that they're slow, it's that when the ball is hit so hard and it gets to the fielder, it's literally miles per hour. Okay. It's literally just seconds they get to the base. Right. When the ball is hit so hard it gets to the fielder, it's literally just like they get to the base. Yeah.
Hitter walks up to the plate and takes his turn at bat, we call that an at bat. So in a typical game of
Run that back one more time.
Keeps the game moving along. Now, when the hitter walks up to the plate and takes his turn at bat, we call that an at bat. So in a typical game of 9 innings, a hitter will get on average about 4 at bats. If the game goes longer, they get a lot of hits, or they go into extra innings, a hitter might get 5, 6, 7 at bats. It just depends.
So usually
on
4
average,
or 5.
Teams will get a minimum of 3 at bats in a 9 inning game, and a lot of players will get 4 or 5 at bats. So let's talk about the size of the strike zone. The strike zone goes from the bottom of the kneecap to the letters of the jersey, and it extends the 17-inch width of home plate. Now, one thing to consider about the strike zone is that if any part of the ball crosses through it, then it's a strike. So because the ball has a width of its own and it could just barely touch the edge, the strike zone can actually be as wide as about 23 inches given the width of a regulation baseball on each side of the plate. So just a little fact to consider. So the pitcher needs to throw the ball over the strike zone, and the hitter needs to swing the bat when the ball is coming into the strike zone.
Right.
So let's talk about the result and the outcome of that, which are potentially strikeouts and walks. Those are 2 of the outcomes that can come from balls and strikes. So if the pitcher gets 3 strikes on the hitter.
Okay, so strikes, balls, walks, outs. So for a strike, hitter swung at the pitch. A ball is when it's outside the strike zone. At bat, a hitter's turn to bat. 3 strikes, the hitter's out. 4 balls, the hitter walks to first. Yeah. Hit by pitch is where first. Yep. Okay, yeah.
It's a strikeout and the batter is out, and the next batter would come up to hit. Now, if the pitcher throws 4 balls in the at-bat before the hitter puts the ball in play or gets 3 strikes, then that's called a walk, and the hitter is going to be awarded first base, and they just get to go down to first base and run the bases. Again, there are other ways to get on base, like if the pitcher hits the batter with a ball, that's called a hit by pitch, and the batter gets to go to first base just the same as a walk. There's catcher's interference and a bunch of other ways that the batter can reach first, but we won't go into them in detail because.
And I remember there were times during like the Sato and Nashville game where it was like a super close call when you look at different pitches that are like they're dang near at the strike zone but not really. But then what determines for them to call it a ball or call it a strike is if the batter swings for it, right? Wasn't that something that was mentioned before where like if the ball when it goes into an iffy area between the strike zone and outside the strike zone where it's like it's kind of like iffy to determine according to the umpire, they would just call it either a ball or a strike if the batter swings for it or if they don't swing for it. I think that's what happened before, and I remember that's what happened. That's one thing that happened before, and that's what made a lot of different people on Team Sato when Eddie June was cooking. They were like, hold up, nope, that batter swung for it. He like his movements. He stopped himself. He was totally about to swing for it, and they would give him like they would give us a strike, right? So if they do a full swing, it's a strike, no matter if it's a ball or strike. Oh, got you. Okay. Oh, and the reason why they do that, and the reason why they'll call it a strike is because they would assume the batter believed the ball was coming towards the strike zone for sure, due to them thinking, okay, is that a strike zone? I gotta hit it. If the bat doesn't cross the base, then it could be a ball or strike. Okay, so it needs to be a full swing. Okay, so if it's a full swing, or if it's something like this, that doesn't count. That like this doesn't count as a strike if they do this. If the bat doesn't cross the base. Okay.
Just not that important for the moment. But for the main part, the most common outcomes are a strikeout and a walk or a hit by pitch to get on base or to be out from not putting the ball in play. Now let's talk about balls and strikes and swinging versus not swinging. So the hitter has the option to never take the bat off his shoulder if he doesn't want to. The hitter doesn't ever have to swing. They have full discretion of what they swing at. But
Okay,
hitting the
he
ball
did
is, well, the fun part of baseball. It's one of the most fun things you can do, in my opinion. So hitters want to swing the bat, and pitchers need to throw strikes because they want to avoid walking too many hitters. If you walk a lot of hitters, it's really hard to win games for your team because there's too many base runners on base. Now only a couple hits will bring across a bunch of runs. So the best pitchers in the world, they both give up very few hits and they also walk very few batters. Now, the strike zone is not huge, but it is big enough where unless the pitcher throws it into the center portion of the plate, it's pretty hard for the hitter to square the ball up and hit it hard.
Yeah.
So the pitcher is essentially trying to throw the ball into the strike zone, but towards the peripheral edges of the strike zone. You know, the outer corners, the inner corners, the highest part, or the lowest part. That's going to make it harder for the hitter to hit the ball hard, even though the pitcher is throwing a strike. And the best hitters are very good at laying off pitches that are outside the strike zone,
run that back,
throwing a strike. And the best hitters are very good at laying off pitches that are outside the strike zone, which we call balls.
Yeah.
And from laying off pitches that are in the strike zone, but not good for them to hit. The best hitter.
Because if it was at the strike zone, you said it could be a strike regardless because of the fact that they swung for it.
Are very disciplined at swinging on only pitches seen in red here that they can hit hard a higher percentage of the time. So let's talk about what happens if the hitter does not swing the bat. So if the hitter does not swing the bat, then there are three typical outcomes. Again, there are more outcomes than just these three, but these are the three most typical ones. Number one, if the pitch is in the strike zone, then the umpire calls it a strike, and we call this a called strike. And the hitter took a strike. Two, if the pitch is not in the strike zone, then the umpire will call it a ball, and that's a ball. Again, a ball is any pitch outside the strike zone. So if the pitcher threw it into the dugout, that would be a ball. If he threw it 14 feet above the hitter, that would be a ball. If he threw it right into the grass, that would also be a ball. But in general, balls are caught by the catcher because pitchers aren't that terrible at locating. And the third outcome is a hit by pitch. So if it's not a called strike, and it's not a ball, then it pretty much would have had to hit the batter. So if a hit by pitch again awards the hitter first base. Now, if the hitter does swing, then these are the typical three outcomes. Number one, the hitter could swing and miss, and that would be a strike. We'd call it a swinging strike. Number two, the hitter could hit the ball into foul territory. We'd say he fouled it off or he hit a foul ball. Foul balls count the same as strikes. So when you foul a ball off, it's a strike, so it would count as strike one, and then it would count as strike two. But when you get to two strikes, you cannot foul out by swinging the bat. So if it's 0-2, and we'll talk about the count in a second, and you foul.
Yes. The count. I remember like there was like when the count in the numbers were like going up and up and up. I'm like, is there a limit to this? And there is. This is something I definitely need to like figure out. But yeah. Best weapon, it right now for me is 2:16 a.m. Wow, goodness.
Foul a ball off, the count stays at 0-2. If it's 3-2 and you foul off 5 balls in a row, the count just stays at 3-2 until either the pitcher walks you swing and miss, or you put the ball in play, or hit by a pitch, or some other rare outcome that would end the at bat. But foul balls when the bat is swung cannot become strike three. The only exception is on bunts.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back right here. A little bit more.
Until either the pitcher walks you swing and miss, or you put the ball in play, or hit by a pitch, or some other rare outcome that would end the at bat. But foul balls when the bat is swung cannot become strike three. The only exception is on bunts. If you try to bunt a ball and you miss, it counts as a strike. If you bunt a ball foul on the first strike or the second strike, they're just strikes. But if you try to bunt the ball with 2 strikes and you bunt it foul, then you're called out. And
bunting the ball foul with 2 strikes means batter. The hitter's out. Okay.
If you try to bunt the ball with 2 strikes and you bunt it foul, then you're called out. And then the third outcome, if the hitter swings the bat, is that he puts the ball into play. So he puts it into fair territory. And then, it could be a fly ball or a ground ball, base hit or an out, lots of different outcomes. But those are the three. When the hitter swings the bat, it's either a swinging strike, he misses, he fouls the ball off, or he hits the ball into fair territory, and we call that.
And you basically hit a million fouls? Right, but then shoot, how does it end? Well, it would have to end by, because if they're constantly hitting fouls, it would have to end by the pitcher like either throwing a lot of balls, right, or just getting a lot of strikes. That's how it would end, right? So it would end by the pitcher having things in their favor or not in their favor. Okay.
Putting the ball into play. All right, so let's keep moving with some more baseball
I'm
rules.
learning.
So I mentioned the count, and the count is just a way of keeping score of the balls and strikes.
Yeah.
So the way we list this is balls first and strikes second. So we would
Balls
say
first,
3
okay.
balls and 1 strike, or 2 balls and 2 strikes, or no balls and 2 strikes. But really, we just say 0 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 1, 3 and 0. That's sort of how we keep the count. Now,
The
this is
balls
something for
first.
beginners that often gets overlooked. The count is one of the most important aspects of the strategy side of baseball.
Got you. All right, and let's read why the count matters. Hitters don't want to strike out, true, and pitchers don't want to walk hitters, so they don't want to throw balls. If count favors the pitcher, he can pitch more on the edges of the plate and try to get the hitter to miss. So if the count favors the pitcher, if the batter is starting to hit a lot more fouls, they can pitch more to the edges of the plate. Because the batter is starting to hit at balls that weren't exactly that much in the strike zone, so it gives the pitcher more leeway to be like, okay, they're starting to hit a lot of different type of balls, so I can be a little bit more slick. I can be a bit more slick because now it's starting to turn to fair game. Like, okay, I can throw a little bit to the outside, like bet, like okay, you're engaging with these pitches and you're acknowledging these as strikes basically, and the umpire is like, well, okay, he's acknowledging them as strikes, so I gotta like I have to like wait this through. Okay, so he can yeah, if he got 2 fouls, he can use his 3 balls. Okay. The plate, he can pitch more on the edges. Yeah. If the count favors the hitter, he can be more selective and aggressive. So if the count favors the hitter, that means the hitter is making the pitcher throw more balls. They can be more selective. Oh yeah, because both of them, they're engaging in the game of like, okay, I'm gonna throw more pitches that are a little bit further away from the strike zone, and if I get found out by the batter, then that means, oh shoot, the batter can choose to not swing at some of them, and if he does, that pitch that the pitcher probably threw would become obvious, can become obviously seen as a ball. One of the sales strategies is being aggressive to put pressure on the pitcher. Right, because okay, I just keep it. Okay, me knowing how it's beneficial from one side to the other, I just gotta remember this: the pitcher is trying to get strikes, and the pitcher is not trying to throw balls. The hitter is not trying to hit fouls. Well, no, the hitter is trying not to be struck out. The hitter's trying to get to base. I gotta remember that, so it's simple. So yeah. So it's just when they start to engage into the count, I just gotta remember, like, okay, if the batter starts to wise up, that can be bad for the pitcher, because then the pitcher has to be more careful again. But if the pitcher is seeing that the hitter is hitting at their pitches more, they can start, throwing stuff a little bit more wild. I think if I overthink it anywhere past that, I will get confused. So I'll just keep it there. The
count, because again, I was a former pro pitcher. The count is absolutely critical to what's going on between the hitter and the pitcher. So the count is important because if the hitter is ahead in the count, meaning it's 2 balls and no strikes, the hitter is at no risk of striking out, essentially. He's got a bunch of pitches before it even might be close that he might strike out. So the hitter then can swing at pitches that are better for him. He can be more selective and not swing at stuff that's on the edges of the strike zone or outside of the strike zone. So this makes it more likely for a hitter.
Right, because if the hitter misses, that'll become a strike.
To get a good hit, especially a hard hit, when the count is in his favor. Again, that's when there's more balls than strikes. Now, if a hitter falls behind in the count, so say the pitcher gets 2 strikes on him with no balls, the hitter is kind of desperate and is afraid he might strike out. So the hitter is going to start to swing at an expanded part of the strike zone because he doesn't want the umpire to call him out on strikes. He can't take borderline pitches anymore. And again, to take a pitch means to let it go past without swinging. A hitter can't take a pitch on 0-2 that's borderline because the umpire might call him out.
Let me just hear that.
Out on strikes. He can't take borderline pitches anymore. And again, to take a pitch means to let it go past without swinging. A hitter can't take a pitch on 0-2 that's borderline because the umpire might call him out.
True.
Whereas on 2-0,
because the umpire is becoming more lenient because he sees that both of them are engaging, almost like basically like in basketball, how like you know how in basketball they don't really allow the person on offense nor on defense to become physical anymore. Like in the 90s, basketball used to be like super physical, but now these days every single thing gets called. But when the ref sees the person on defense and offense engage more into physical stuff, and it's like reciprocal, like, you know, the ref is going to let them play. Okay. So he's going to let them play, but like for someone on offense, if they do something crazy with like an elbow or something, but it's like to where it's slick, and the person on defense, they flop to getting hit of getting hit, they're gonna be like, yo, ref, that was a foul. The ref is like, well, nope, y'all are playing physical. Y'all are playing physical the whole time. You can't be the one to bail out now. Y'all the ones that engage in this. You gotta see it through. That's like because I know about basketball a lot more than baseball. That's crazy, because that's so crazy, like how complex kinda of how baseball can be. But yeah, it's kind of why I really wanted you to see this, because AC Diamond is pretty detailed. You know what's interesting? It's like, in a way, I'm kind of glad that I got to watch Ace of Diamond, because with Ace of Diamond they slowly introduced certain concepts together. They didn't kind of like throw it all at you. They kind of took their time, and then I started to get used to specific rules, while in later episodes they started to introduce more rules. So me going in with that knowledge going into this video, now I understand like some of the concepts already, and then with certain things that I may have been a little confused about, he's just clearing it up. But that's what's up. So yeah, that clears up basically everything. And I just gotta remember the amount of at bats that are allowed based off of the innings. That's gonna be something I have to remember. And then I just have to remember the like if someone's saying right field, middle field, left field, that's like referring to outfield, and then first base, second base, third base is referring to infielders. Then I just have to remember I basically know about the count stuff now. Yeah, I know about the count stuff, and then I know about the different type of outs that the people, you know, within defense could try to do, depending on, you know, what's accessible to them, and if they're able to coordinate, because maybe there might have been a play accessible to them, but their coordination is bad. That happened a lot in Team Sato, where they could have easily done a double play, but maybe the pitcher messed up, or maybe shortstop, or, you know, someone at second or first messed up, and, you know, they may have messed up either a throw or a catch, which resulted in them no longer getting that double player out. So I know about those. It's just remembering the other position names, and remembering how many at bats we'll get depending on innings. That seems to be the main thing I have to remember.
Can easily take that pitch because he's at no risk of striking out, and if he doesn't like that pitch, he doesn't have to swing at it. So the balance between who's ahead in the count is important. When the pitcher is ahead, they have the power, because now if a pitcher has no balls and 2 strikes, I can throw curveballs and sliders and fastballs outside of the zone and try to get the hitter to swing at something that's not good for him to swing at, something that he can't hit very hard, or something that starts as a strike and then breaks outside the strike zone, again, like a curveball or a slider. So that's why the dynamic of the count is so important, and that changes as the at-bat progresses. So it could be 1-1, you know, 1 ball and 1 strike, and then I get a strike on the hitter, and now it's 1-2, and now I throw my best slider and it breaks into the dirt, and the hitter swings and misses because he didn't want to strike out.
Dang, this is making me think about the Nashville and Sato game, because weren't we up on the count a few times when they were counts? Because remember with Edjun, we were up on the count, right? Like all we had to do was. No, wait, which was it Kawakami that had the count, or was it Edjun that had the count? Because I think with Edjun, he man, which one was it? I have to remember. I have to remember the specific situation. I would literally just have to replay that episode, which I probably could do when we get into reacting to it. If the pitcher does like a double play, he's likely to throw a grounder. Oh, if the pitcher wants a double play, he'll likely throw a grounder. Oh, like he'll throw a pitch that would be the most likely that could get to one of our infields. Like you'll throw something that would possibly get to a specific infield position, and then from the batter, they'll try to hit the pitch from a direction where they think could give them the single or the double or the triple that they want. Like they'll hit based off of what they think. Yeah. Okay.
So he made a quicker decision to swing, and it was the wrong decision because the pitch broke out of the zone. So that's sort of how the dynamic between pitchers and hitters works. It's a constant fluctuating power dynamic, and the count is a really huge part of that. So pitchers who get ahead in the count are much better than pitchers who don't typically, because when you're ahead in the count consistently as a pitcher, you have the ability to throw more of what's good for you and what's bad for the hitter. And when the hitter gets ahead in the count, they can be more selective and swing more aggressively, which makes them more likely to hit the ball hard and far and do damage to the fielding team with doubles, triples, and home runs.
Triples, yeah.
All right, thanks so much for watching. I hope my video on baseball rules was helpful to you.
Yeah,
obviously, as a beginner, baseball can be a really challenging game to understand. I've also linked in the description below to a couple different things. Number one, there's other videos that explain some other rules in detail, like the infield fly rule, which is a little bit hard to understand at times. I've explained baseball positions in much more detail in a separate video. And I've also linked to a free baseball
for the
watching
pro,
guide. It's
like
a cheat
outside of
sheet
high
that if you
school.
can print it out, it'll show you all the different terminology that you need to know if you're watching a game of baseball at home. So you can print the sheet out.
I love
and it'll
baseball,
tell you all
man.
sort of like the cliff notes, the shorthand of what you need to know to remember to be a better baseball watcher. So if you'd like to download that, it's free. You can find that in the description links below. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. As you now know, I do tons and tons of baseball videos trying to teach the strategic side of the game, the skill side of the game, all that good stuff. So if you enjoyed today's video, definitely subscribe because there's a lot more to help you along in your baseball journey.
Yeah, okay. And then also when it comes to different fielders trying to do double plays or whatever, to try to get it out on someone that's already at a base, you'd have to get them while they're running. That's the only way that could work, right? Cause it's like if someone runs to a base and they stay there, kind of like Shunshin, for example, right? In the state of Akikawa, his teammates could not bat for the love of their lives. So Shunshin just stayed at base the whole time. He couldn't go anywhere, because if he went anywhere, he would have gone out. So that's to show how important it is to have teammates that are good with like depending on what your main strength is for your baseball team. If your baseball team is really good at defense, you gotta make sure your team with your fielders, with your pitchers, like y'all are like these. You know, as thick as thieves. It's same thing with like the catcher. But for other teams like Akikawa, that kind of, they're good within like fielding and pitching. If you prioritize so much on just fielding and pitching and you basically lost all your points at batting, that's not good. Because what if you go up against a team like Sato that's basically good with both? You're screwed. Because here's the thing with a team like Akikawa, with Shunshin, he's good with both, but not his other teammates. His other teammates aren't good at both. So he'll be able to get over there. But with Shunshin, which is very unlikely, he would have to pray that everything he hits is a home run, because he knows his teammates won't be able to get him to the next base. And that's so crazy, man. That's why I feel so bad for Shunshin, is because at some point he will be plagued by his team, because at some point there's going to come a point in baseball where you need to rely on your teammates, or at least one of your teammates, to at least get a hit, a good one. That's crazy. So it's like with baseball, it's really not one of those sports. Like baseball is one of those sports. Is like, it doesn't matter if you're ace or if one of your teammates, you know, are doing or like the MVP. If the rest of your teammates aren't paying that forward, you're cooked. Like with basketball, for example, it's a little different, because like Michael Jordan, for example, he's doing just enough to where everyone else is good, because the rest of his teammates, all they have to do at the end of the day is make sure they're getting the rebounds, that they're playing defense. But if they're not doing either of that, it doesn't matter even if you have a Michael Jordan in your team, he can't be at every position of the court at the same time. That's kind of like how I'm bridging my terminology, because I know like all the basketball rules or like at least most of them for the most part, and playing and watching a lot of like NBA. So I've grown to like learn about baseball. But yeah,